Hi, it's Mike Stevenson here. We're going to do a video today, which is going to be a little bit of a test video, just exploring the idea of like an unboxing video, I guess. So what we're going to do is play around with Wagner's article here with the new Logic Apps standard VsCode extension. And I kind of just want to go through the process of setting it up. Now, the good thing is I've actually had to buy a new laptop. My old Surface Book's sort of seen better days. It's not really starting when it's on battery power very well, so it's a bit unhappy. So I've bought myself a new the Surface Studio laptop. So it's pretty cool. I really like the setup here. So it's a fresh laptop. I've installed VsCode. I've installed normal Visual Studio and a couple of other things, but I've not actually opened any of them up yet. So what we're going to do is work through Wagner's article and test out this VsCode extension. So I thought from the perspective of an unboxing video, it would be, let's take a clean machine, go through setting it up and see how it goes getting from zero to an up and running Logic app that I can deploy to Azure and a few other things. So if we work through this article, we can see here, so the point of the article is about simplifying the VsCode extension. So we've got a little bit of info here just about, the idea is to make it more straightforward. There's a bit of comments just going through, things like the auto validations. This will be one of the things in the setup here that we're going to look at. So I think my understanding is if we turn that to yes, then it should kind of look after itself. So what else we got? So it looks pretty straightforward. It's talking about the dependency folders. So here you can see it's going to deploy the dependencies into that folder for us. So I guess our other solutions would use them and it would just get updated. So makes it faster by initializing a couple of processes during startups, the designer, hosting, and Azure right. And then it talks a little bit about a couple of issues down the bottom. Now, what would be quite cool is when I first read through this, my first reaction was, right, well, so how do I get started? But I'm kind of guessing it would be nice to have like a step-by-step just saying, look, these are the things we expect you to do. But I'm going to make a guess that what I need to do is open VsCode here, and I'm going to have to go and install an extension for this. So if we go to the extensions, so we'll type in Logic Apps. Now, we've got a couple of extensions here, so I'm going to assume that it's this Logic Apps standard extension that Wagner's talking about. We do have the old consumption one that's been around for a while. I think maybe installing the mapper would be handy as well, but I'm just going to go and install this and set this up and see what we do. So we'll give that a few seconds to install. I'm just going to have a quick check through here, see if there's any useful information. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that I'm creating a new standard Logic app. So we'll have a little bit of a look at this article as well. So I'm just going to grab that over into Edge here. Do the web capture feature, so we'll just capture the full page so we can make some notes on this as we're going through. So it's still installing that extension. Now, if you note, I haven't really got any other extensions installed, so that looks like that's done. So just to show, we've got Azure account, .NET install, and that's basically it that I've pretty much got on there. So I'm guessing we probably want to restart VsCode, so I'll just do that to make sure that's done. So I guess it must have installed a few other things when we've done that. So we've got C#, Azure, right, logic apps, functions, etc. So let's jump back to Wagner's article quickly here. So I think we kind of reached the end of that. There's a few things. I assume if we have any problems, we might have to jump back to these. So install. So let's jump over to this create a new logic app. So we'll just go through this one as well. So we're going to check here. Right, so let's go through these. So accessibility, access and connectivity, plan to build logic app standard, build the connectors. So I think we're good on all this. Add an Azure account and subscription. So we've got one of them. Right, so we've downloaded VsCode. We've added the Azure extension that got added when we install logic apps. So this one here is the bit that I'm guessing should have been done by that extension. So we'll have a little bit of a check on that just to see what it says here. So we've got all of these, I think. So I think we should be all right on here from the looks of it. Let's just check that folder and see what we've got in it. So I think it was the path was down. Okay, so maybe that doesn't get created till the first time we create a project, I guess. Right, so let's go back over here then. So we'll assume we've got them. Check whether the recorder is. So we've done that. Installed from VSX. Right, so I'm guessing we've done these. If our prompt appears, all right, so we've got so I missed that bit there. So this is the extension dependencies, so it's going to go and install those now. So if we notice down in the console window down here, it's installing Node.js and stuff. So we'll let that do its thing. I'll let this run, but what I might do is I might just trim this bit of the video when we're done, just to see if we can shrink this down a little bit. See, we've got function core tools getting installed there from the looks of it. Actually, that is installing stuff into that path. Now that path there looks slightly different to the one we looked at before, I think, but it seems to be putting some stuff in here. Just while we're waiting for that, I'm going to just have a little bit of a look at some of these settings in here. So it's where the dependencies go up here. So installs, stop Azure, right? Yeah, start background process. So this might be an interesting setting. I might ask Wagner about this setting here. So one of the things that's a little bit of a pain is you end up with the files for Azure right sometimes in your folder alongside your logic app, and I often exclude them. So maybe you can set like a default location where they would always go, possibly. Be quite interesting. So I might ask him about that. So I think in the past, this is a property that we've modified on a, I think we did it in like a properties file or something. So we always would have a solution where you've got the logic app in one folder, but maybe some tests and stuff in another folder. And then I guess .NET binary paths, that's going to be where that dependency goes. Remote debugging. Okay, so a lot of these settings, I think you can override them in a project specific thing anyway. So I guess you probably want to do that rather than setting defaults if you're working on different projects with different settings. So there's quite a lot of settings here actually. So they're just validating the installs. So I think, if we notice that the installation's completed successfully there, so hopefully that should be us good so far. So we've got that bit done. Just erase that bit. So reload VsCode. So I think we've got all these bits. If you have an existing project, so that'll be NA because we'll just create a new one. But yeah, that's one of the files I was talking about before that we previously would modify. Logic app, you'll notice so I guess that's opening an existing one. No issues with the preview. Dependencies. Right, so I've restarted VS Code. Into the extensions. Okay, so I think we should be good there. Time is set to 4. So I guess this is going to be in here somewhere. So copy this here. So we'll default that to 4. Okay, so that should be saved. So we modify that. So it was interesting here with the functions runtime. So I guess maybe one bit is we shouldn't really be using 3 anymore anyway. So maybe there's a default that could be set there. Okay, so on the file menu, got file preference settings. Wait to find the project runtime. Okay, so if I'd read that further down, I could have found that myself. Right, so connect to your Azure account on the Visual Studio activity bar. Sign into Visual Studio. Sign into Azure. Allow. Right, short pause in the video there. So I got a little bit bitten by Visual Studio Code's horrific, like this whole resource thing here, the login. If you've got, so I had, problem is I've got the same account in multiple tenants, and I just couldn't get it to flip over to the tenant that I needed to work against for doing this POC, and it was so bloody painful. So eventually I've managed to do it. So I think there's like two different logins, one down here and one for the extension, and I've managed to get them both flipped over. But that just seems like, from a UI perspective, that shouldn't be that complicated. But just watch for that, because I was sort of thinking I might end up creating something in the wrong tenant, wrong subscription there. But you can see now I'm connected to my blogging subscription here. The Logic app we're going to be working with today is this one. So I've kind of pre-built this in the Azure portal. I want to focus on the VsCode development and deployment to this. So that Logic app's already there. I think if we go over here, you can see there's the article I was looking at before about flipping over to the right account. So here's my empty Logic app. Kind of nothing in it. So we're back over in VsCode now, back to this article that we were looking at before. So we got our VsCode connected. So we're going to create a local project now. So on your computer, create an empty folder. So I've already done that previously. So close all open folders. I don't have any open. So we go to the workspace down here and we click new project. So we go to the workspace down here. Let's just check the icon. So we want new Logic app project. Now, I think what I might do, actually, so there's the, so I'll stick with the project. I think I probably want the workspace, because I think that's the one that brings in the VsCode structure, but we'll keep on the project for now. So I go to my playpen VsCode extension. Right, and we'll create a new stateful workflow. Yeah, we'll call it stateful 1 and we'll open it in the current window. Okay, so I'm going to trust that folder. So you can see we have our new Logic app here. So I'll just approve the firewall for functions as well. So we've got some little pop-ups coming up here. So this is telling me Azure starting up, starting the workflow designer. So that'll be for loading up this workflow. Now, I often like to have a whole bunch of VsCode icons set up here. So I haven't done any of that. So this is a bit raw over on the left. So I'll sort that out later on. But if we go through, so we got our prompts here. That was fine. So if we browse to the folder, we should see our workflows. So we can get rid of that folder. We don't need that. So you can see in this VsCode extension folder, we've got our Logic app. This is that new lib folder for any code that we're going to deploy. So that looks like we're pretty good there, I think. So we'll give that a tick. So then we've got our stateful workflow. VsCode prompts you in the current window. Okay, so I think we're good there. And yeah, so that was good. We got that that view. In VsCode, your Logic has either of the following types. Based on these types of project structure, includes slightly different folders, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I think we're good here. Your project's root level, you can find the following files and folders. So that one here has settings that, when we were looking at those settings files before, you can override like the configuration of how the logic app project would handle different settings, like for example that runtime setting. So the artifacts folder, that's where we're going to put any maps and stuff. Workflow name folders are pretty standard, so that's each workflow goes in its own folder. Connections files for a whole bunch of the config, host.json. Yeah, that's where you would configure settings around configuring the function runtime. This would be your local parameters. So by default, it creates a logic app that is the Node.js variety, not the .NET. If you require a logic app, that's a NuGet package based on .NET, for example, built-in connector authoring. So I'm going to do this because I think this project, I'll probably do another follow-up adding the .NET Core stuff to it. So I think we'll convert this to a NuGet-based one. So I think, if I remember right, we... sorry, how did we do that again? In the Explorer pane at your projects, move the mouse over any blank area. Convert to NuGet based. So there's actually a couple of options here. Update the debug mode for stateless, deploy, use SQL storage. So that's where you might be using a SQL server for your backend storage. So we'll convert that to a NuGet one. So I thought yeah, there we go. Right, move to a NuGet based one. So we saw a slight change there. We now get a VS project file here as well, so I think we're good. So we've done that. Sorry, that was what we'd done. So connector authoring, you can build your own connectors, and convert your project to a NuGet. Right, so we'll worry about maps later. Add assemblies to your project. Some can reference specific kinds of assemblies which you don't know in .NET. Right, okay, so that's really telling us about if things like we want to use the SAP connectors, they're going to need the SAP DLLs, which I guess would go in this folder here. So that's quite interesting. I hadn't really looked at that before. So SDK, Java, storage and deployment of custom SDK for Java, for example, Java JDBC connectors. So I might read about that a bit more in the future. This assembly type provides storage. Right, so that would be where we're likely to put our custom assemblies if we're writing any C# code. Right, this task is required only for NuGet if this wasn't supported. So let's have a look what's in that project file. Yes, I think we've already got that from the looks of it. Yeah, so that's these lines down here. So I'm guessing that's really if you're migrating an existing project here, I think you need to be kind of checking on that one. Projects, so I'm not running on a Mac, so I'm going to skip that over. Right, open the workflow design file in the designer. Okay. So this is my stateful workflow one here. So we'll skip for now. Awesome. So I'm going to come back to this, use connectors from Azure later, this bit here. I'm going to just deploy the absolute basic logic app. Right, so that should be good. Right, so add a trigger and actions. So we can do that. Enable locally running webhooks. I'll do that outside of this video. So I think what we'll do then is we'll just go through so we'll add an HTTP request. We'll add a compose. And then we'll add a response. Right, so we've got a note here. Do you want to install the recommended C# dev kit extension? Not sure. Let's leave that for now. Right, so I'm going to save this workflow. Actually, I think what I might do, just change that to support a get actually. Okay, so see what this says about running. So debug a stateless workflow, enable run history if your result is already running. So is it already running? So we've got to do Azure write start. Now I can see down at the bottom here that my Azure write is already running, but you could just run this from Azure right up here, but we'll just leave that because we can see it's already running. Right, so that one's good. So we'll do the run and select start with debugging. Actually, I think I forgot to put my body in here. Just going to stop debugging for a minute. So you can see it's doing a build down here. So we'll just let that run through, and then we'll just let it kill itself, and we'll just rerun it so we get the workflow work with that response going back. So I wonder if the interesting bit, when that little error that popped up about the function runtime, I wonder if that might be because it's still running there. So we'll just keep an eye on that. You can see it's still restoring some packages here as well, so maybe there's a bit to do with that. But we'll let that just finish and do it again. So the interesting bit when I've here, just following that workflow through, I'm really just doing that with the tool and like the menus and stuff. Normally, when I've been doing logic apps myself recently, we've got like a template solution, and I've often just been using some of the .NET commands to build and run and stuff. So we'll see how this goes. So you can see the functions runtime looks like it's starting to spin up down here. There we go. So my guess is I should be able to put that in the browser and see what happens. So I'm just checking here. Actually, we kind of missed a step. So we've got it running, but forgetting the URL, I'm forgetting that. We should be going down here to the overview page. So if I go up here, so we can see here's the URL for the Logic app actually. So there we go. So thanks, Mike. This works. So that's our Logic app running locally. We can see we had an execution here. So that's good. So I think that Logic app is doing what we expect it to do. So we've got our URL. We didn't use Postman, but we've done the equivalent. So in this case, I'm not doing the Outlook piece or anything, so we'll skip that over. So I think we kind of reached the end of the article here. So what we'll do next is we'll go and deploy this Logic app. So we should be picking VsCode extension test. Make sure you want to deploy. So we'll just let this run. See, it's doing a publish down here. We get a little bit of telemetry showed up down here. So we're just going to be patient while it deploys out to Azure now. So that's interesting. You see, that must have been like a build there or something. It's created in the publish directory, and then it sort of flipped us over to the output window so we can see there's details of the zip package getting deployed here. So it's a bit interesting that it flips between the two windows there. So just watch for that. When it actually starts doing the deployment, you click the link down here and it tells you about the zip package being updated. So I guess that terminal piece, I'm assuming because it's maybe a .NET Logic app, there was that kind of step around the package and publish that you would do with that .NET build and .NET publish command. But we can see so deployment should be done there. It's cleaning up the temp folders, so probably just waiting a second or two for the extension to finish, but I'm going to jump over and have a look if we actually have any workflows up here now. So we'll maybe give that a second. Maybe that's not quite finished yet then. Oh no, actually I should read the message, Mike. It's just finished zipping. It's doing the deployment now. So it's interesting, it shows us a bit what's in that package here after it's deployed. So we've got some of the like the messaging DLLs and stuff. .liquid there for doing the mapping. Interesting, to look what that is. I've come across that one before. Fluent FTP, I guess that might be for any inline FTP stuff. And inline connectors maybe. Be interesting to know if that's what that is, because I'm sure the Cloud Connector uses a different package for that. But looks like we're all deployed, deployment successful, so go back over here. So here's our stateful workflow running in Azure, and let's grab that URL. And there we go. Thanks, Mike. This works. So what we've shown there then is we've gone through the steps in this article. So just showing the original article here. I think my that web capture doesn't like that quite big article, I think. So article by Wagner. So we basically walked through in an unboxing type video, going from a brand new laptop, never ran VS Code before. How can we go through the steps following the article to go from zero to a logic app that runs locally and it deploys to the cloud? That was pretty seamless. There wasn't really too many challenges there at all. The biggest challenge was me not reading the article properly. I guess the couple of caveats where we didn't do some more advanced stuff around connectors. It was just a really basic logic app. So maybe I'll do a follow-up video adding more to this solution and trying other stuff out. But great job, Wagner, getting this extension. I'm loving that. There's so much less work in setting up dependencies for that scenario to get your logic app up and running. I think I'll also start exploring the workspace stuff. But thanks for listening today. I hope people find this video useful to help get you started. And please feel free to like, subscribe to the channel, and pop any questions up if you want to talk about anything in the video.